Hey guys, we all know how important it is to have a good resume in order to find a job. But still, not everyone is aware of how a good resume should look like. There are a lot of misconceptions about how a good resume should look like, such as should your resume be only 1 or 2 pages long? Should your resume be very colorful and very fancy? Is it mandatory to have a professional pic in your resume, etc. etc. To be frank, there are no hard rules set when it comes to how a resume should look like. The ultimate goal of a resume is to convince the recruiter in the shortest time possible if your profile is a good fit for the applied job. Over the past 11 years of my professional experience, I have worked as a software engineer, data analyst, business analyst, etc. I have been part of the interview panel in a few companies and have taken several interviews myself. I have gone through hundreds of resumes, so in this video I'm going to share from my experience what are the 4 top tips that you need to follow in order to build an awesome resume. At the end of this video, I'm also going to share you a couple of free tools that you can use to build a free resume. So please make sure to stay till the end. Let's begin. Number one, and probably the most important tip, is that your resume format must be ATS friendly. So, what is an ATS? ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. It's basically a software which is used by most of the companies today and also by most of the job portals like LinkedIn, Indeed, JobStreet, Naukri, Monster, etc. So whenever you apply for a job online, what happens is your resume is actually not directly sent to the recruiter, but an ATS software will scan through your resume and try to compare the contents of your resume with the job description. Only if the job description and the contents of your resume is a good match, only then your resume will be forwarded to the recruiter. It is said that almost 75% of the resumes which are scanned by ATS gets rejected. So if you're someone who has applied for hundreds of jobs online and hardly gets a response, then probably your resume is not following the ATS format. So what exactly is an ATS format? It's actually pretty simple. So your resume needs to follow a simple formats. Like as you can see here, your resume needs to have different sections very clearly mentioned, and the fonts used should be pretty simple. Don't use any fancy fonts. So ideally the fonts that you can use are Calibri, Arial, Times New Roman, etc. Do not use any tables, columns, special characters, or even photos because ATS generally doesn't read your photos. Prefer to have bullet points. So if you're mentioning your skills or your responsibilities in a project, try to mention it in through bullet points because most of the ATS software should be able to read bullet points. Do not try to mention everything in big paragraphs. Try to avoid using headers and footers in your resume because it can happen that some of the ATS softwares may not be able to read it. So if you mention some important information like your contact information in your headers or footers, the ATS may never be able to read it, and then even though your resume may get shortlisted, because the contact information was lost when ATS tried to scan through your resume, the recruiter may never be able to contact you. Also, generally the accepted resume formats are either PDF or the Word documents. Try to use keywords in your resume from the job description. So if your job description is about a Java developer and it has specified the frameworks and other technologies, then please make sure to use these keywords in your resume. So whenever ATS tries to do a match between the job description and your resume, it finds all these keywords and it will increase your chances of having a good match. So these are the simple steps that you need to follow to make sure that your resume is ATS friendly. So nothing fancy and nothing too complicated. Number two, keep it simple, short, and neat. Do not try to over explain the project. Rather, try to explain on what your responsibilities were. Ideally, 1 to 3 pages is a good length for a resume. Avoid highlighting and coloring text because not every recruiter may find it fancy and useful. It might just not look too neat for certain recruiters. Number three is have the following sections in your resume. Try to follow the sequence that I'm going to tell you right now. So start with your name, your designation, and the contact details. So under contact details, you can mention your phone number, the city that you live in, and the country maybe, and then your email address and the LinkedIn profile. If you have your own website, blogs, or any other portfolio website, then you can mention that as well. The next section is the summary section where you need to describe professionally yourself in one paragraph. try to take this section very seriously and try to put your own words and explain what you have done in your past experience and what are the qualities that you have which can really add value to the current role that you're applying. The next section is the skill set. So under this section, you mention all the skill sets that you have. The next section is the work experience section. So let's say if you are a fresher, then instead of mentioning work experience, you can just mention the projects that you have worked on during your internship or in your college projects, etc. If you're mentioning work experience, then make sure to first start it with mentioning the company name, then followed by the location, and then followed by the designation that you had in that role. Next, try to explain maybe in 2 lines what the project is about, and then followed by a bullet points. Maybe you can mention 3 to 4 bullet points where you explain your responsibilities in that project. Try to mention all the projects that you have worked on. The next section is the education. So mention your degree and your university and the year you passed, etc. The next section is certifications and courses. So if you have done any certifications or any other courses other than your education, then this is a good section to mention here. Finally, you can also add a couple of more sections like mentioning your languages, the languages that you know, and also the hobbies that you have. Finally, the last step is do not fake. Be real and apply for jobs that only matches your profile. This way you won't get disappointed, because if you think that you're going to try your luck by just applying for jobs even though they do not match with your profile, ATS will anyways reject such profiles even before it reaches to the recruiter. So do not waste your time. Also, make sure that everything that you mention in your resume is true. Do not lie, because most of the recruiters will ask you questions based on what is mentioned in your resume. So if you mention something on your resume that you have no idea about, and if the recruiter comes to know that you just faked it, then it's actually going to adversely affect your chances of getting that job. Now, as I promised, let me share a couple of free tools that you can use to build your own resume. The first tool is by using the JobScan website. So just go to Google and search for JobScan. The first website that you should see is jobscan.co. Just click on that. And then here go to Resume Templates. And then here you will see several templates which are free to be downloaded. So any of these templates you can just download it and then update the resume as per your details, and then you can use it as your own resume. So you can see here that all these resumes are all ATS friendly, so you don't even have to worry about if the format is ATS friendly or not. The second website that I would recommend is by using Canva. So just search for Canva or go to canva.com. This is a great website where you can do a lot of things, and building your resume is one of them. So just go to templates and click on resume. Here you will see several hundreds of resumes available here, so you can choose what type of resume you are looking for, simple, colorful, etc, etc. So let's say if I click any one of them, so I just click and I click on use this template. It will open up in a new tab, and let me just increase the size. So now all these details that are mentioned here, I can just update it like any text editor. So I can just update the details and replace my photo and use this resume as my own. The one thing to remember is that most of these resume templates that you find in Canva may not be ATS friendly. So these are pretty fancy resumes and very easy to build, but they may not be ATS friendly. So what I would recommend is try to maintain 2 different resumes, basically having the same details but 2 different formats. One is a format which is ATS friendly, so whenever you're applying for a job through online portals like LinkedIn or any other job portals, or through a company website directly, then try to use this ATS friendly resume. And then whenever you're trying to send a resume directly to an HR through email or something like that, then try to use the resume that you have built by using Canva. Hopefully both these tools can help you to build a fantastic resume in a very short time. Also, if you are interested in downloading the resume template that I showed in this video, then you can download it as well. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description below. If you found this video useful, please make sure to like and subscribe, and also please don't hesitate to share this video with your friends and colleagues who would be looking for a new job. Thank you.